Something of a top tip. Always, when you order stuff off the internet and it arrives, never believe that what you've got is exactly what you ordered. That is Jota 90. That's the activator and hardener for Jota 90. Having mixed all that together yesterday and applied it to this and that and that up there that you can't see, and sort of under here. I come up the following day and why is it all still tacky? You can hear it. Why is it still tacky? Why hadn't it gone off? This stuff's hard as shit. Turns out, of course, it's still tacky because that's not the activator for Jota 90. So that will never go off. And none of that will ever go off. So I've now raised a complaint with the supplier, who, to be fair, got back to me in minutes. Very apologetic and they're sending the right stuff, but in the interim I'm now left with having to remove all of that because, of course, it will never go off. I actually applied a bit of the correct activator around this bit. I roughed it up as best I could, which actually wasn't that difficult. It just clogs the wet and dry because it's tacky, and I slapped some activator into it in the vain hope that, oh, maybe it'll react with it and it'll go off. Oddly enough, it hasn't. So I have now commenced removing all the paint that I've applied. So I've given up a bit with the concept of using Jota at this stage, because I'm now 2 days essentially behind where I should be, and I really don't have time. I really don't have time. This is just, this car needs to go back together and not be on this ramp. So I'm going to stick with what I know and what I've got. So I've started rubbing that back with thinners. I've got all of that to do, the subframe and half the underside of the car. Yeah, I'm going to get it back a bare metal and do what I've done before and just use epoxy 2-pack out the gun. And I shall blow all that over, and then I'll probably give it a couple of coats, but I can do that in a day. I can do 2 or 3 coats in a day with that stuff, and then just rough it up a bit, certainly on the underside around where the fuel tank and the the heel board and the where the subframe lives and the chassis legs and everything. So if I get a coat of epoxy on there and then seam seal it, and then let the seam sealer go off, and then do another coat of epoxy, then I can just blow it straight with some stone chip. Also out the gun, that's a 1-pack stone chip, so that's less of an issue, because it just saves me a little bit of time over having to do all this again, back to bare metal and then bond the primer and then mix more Jota. And granted, I now have the correct activator. And whilst this looks absolutely terrible, it's proper hard, this side. It's absolutely perfect, this side. Unfortunately, the other side still hasn't gone off and probably never will, and indeed in there where I did it with that, that's all still tacky. So I'm going to have to probably shot blast this, because of course there's places that you just can't get in to rub back. So that, I think, I'll have to go off a shot blasting. I was hoping to put this back in on Sunday, so that obviously is now not going to happen, which is really quite depressing. But you know, that's life. To a certain extent, it's my own fault because I should have read the tin. I didn't really pay any attention to the tin because, of course, it came in the same box with the Jota and ordered from the same supplier. So, you know, one just naturally assumes that you're going to get the activator for Jota 90 rather than whatever the fuck that yellowy crap is. Anyway, I'm now going to spend the next several hours with some thinners and bits of old shirt chopped up. Taking all this back to bare metal. So, to convert your standard rear subframe to a GTI spec subframe, you need that little screw peg thing that the fuel pipe plastic bracket screws onto. That is on that side of the subframe, and I'm not quite sure how they actually welded it to it. I'm guessing they used like a spot weld type thing and just actually use that as the I don't know. Anyway, I did not fancy my chances of welding a little stud upright onto a subframe because that requires a degree of competency that I don't possess. So I've actually cut a little bit of the old subframe off around it. There is room above, so it makes no odds. So I've got a little platform to weld that to it. The next thing you'll need is this bracket, which hangs over the top, that the clip for the rubber thing that secures the fuel pump hooks round. Having taken this off, I cut it off and discovered that actually it's really thin and quite rusty, although I can't actually move it by hand, but it's quite thin and corroded, and generally it's a bit horrible. So I made a new one from thicker, more manly steel, because why not? So I'm going to weld that to the top. But before I do any of that, I'm going to weld the bit on the underside, obviously, because I don't want to have this led down with the stud poking on the ground, because the weight of the subframe it's not heavy. But anyway, so that's the original bracket that goes underneath. Obviously I've had to take some of my lovely paint off after the amount of grief I had with paint on the other subframe. Having made it work properly on this one, that was quite annoying, but this will go on car, rather like that. Ta-da! And then fuel pump and everything in its rubber block lives in there. So I'm going to weld this one on first. I'm going to try and weld this one on first. We'll see how we go. Of course, I will need somewhere to earth the MIG, so I'm going to have to take yet more paint off my lovely, freshly painted. That'll reach. I'll take it off there because that's nice and easy to repaint, isn't it? Hopefully. Should give me air. Since as usual I get caught up around everything. That looks like it would do. So this lid's just on the end of where it flares out. Sort of about there, like that. Of course the MIG will work better if it's plugged in. Definitely help. Right. Obviously, always use a helmet for protection. Always. Okay, so. Pretty it isn't, but there's quite a lot of heat in that. It's stuck pretty well, it's quite warm. I don't think that's going to fall off. Happy day. So. It's dropped, he's blacked it over. Almost looks professional. Right, so there's my little stuff. So there's my little stuff. It lives somewhere around there. I do have the old subframe here where I hacked it from. So I might go get a measure and just measure where I've cut it from so I can put it back in. It doesn't matter if it's millimetre perfect, but about right would be nice. So let's get one steel rule. 16 and a half. Should probably get a mark or something for this, shouldn't I? 16 and a half. Going to something to scribe this with. We need a knife. Probably got a clamp or something rolled back there because that's not. It might. Still look right. I suppose I can always twat it back a bit, can't I? Bung a bit of weld through on there, just in cases, because that one had actually corroded really badly on the downward lip where it's not actually welded across the back. It had corroded right up in. So slap a bit of the old weld through on. That should be fine, right? And then it'll just need a bit of painty to make all that better afterwards. probably not even going to bother cleaning those welds up. Actually, they do what they need to do. Whilst that goes off, I think I'm going to go and have a pretend cigarette. That keeps happening. What have I done with the thing? It appears to have set fire to the paint, which is quite impressive. I'll definitely have to repaint the inside of that. That's burnt that off quite nicely. I think all that really needs, it's going to give that a little bit of a clean up around there so that my plastic bracket will wind down onto it appropriately, and then, you know, repaint the various bits that need some paint, in which case I shall mix up some Jotun, and I'll have enough left over hopefully to finish the roof off on the inside, because I've been doing the inside of the roof just because. You know, it's really expensive paint Jotun, so rather than waste it, any leftovers, I just chuck it in the car where no one's ever going to see it, and it will hopefully seal it a bit, is the plan. So, yeah, I'll clean that up and then get some paint on it. There we go. I mean, Bosch some paint on it, you'd barely ever notice the difference. Again, my painting skills looks terrible, doesn't it? But, you know, who cares? It's on. It's attached. I have bracket tees. I've got that little stub thing. So once that paint goes off, I can build this up, which will be nice. I've still got to clean and paint the trailing arms, but everything else, I've got to make some pipes, obviously, but and overhaul the rear height corrector that lives on there. So I can crack on with that, get this built up. Hopefully, by the time I have removed the remaining paint from underneath the car and got it painted properly, then this will be ready to go straight in. Obviously the fuel tank's got to go in first, but the fuel tank and then this. Now I can plumb it all back up, and at least the car will then be mobile.